You good?
All right, we're going to call this meeting to order. Can we stand and salute the flag, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Jamie, could you read the sunshine statement, please?
Be advised that proper notice has been given by the Township Council in accordance with the Sunshine Law in the following manner. Notice advertised in the Burlington County Times and Camden Courier Post on January 8th, 2025, and posted on the bulletin board on the same date.
Can we get a roll call, please?
Mr. Morrow?
Here.
Mrs. Apiadu?
Here.
Mr. Smith?
Here.
Mr. Jenny?
Here.
Mr. Lyon?
Here. All right, got a short work session today. First up, we have the discussion ordinance change, Chapter 150-7, fire safety fees, and Chapter 162, fire prevention. And my understanding is the fire department got audited or whatnot, and the only thing they found was we need to update that section of the code to come in line with the state. Do you want to expound on that at all?
No, there's not
Jamie?
much else to say. Joe Cunningham Jr. brought this to me, and these were the two areas that the auditor found that they needed to adjust. And if you guys are okay with it, or if you have any questions, we'd like to have Al draft an ordinance to get this incorporated into the code.
Yeah, basically from what I'm gathering on this, it's just the difference is that it's updating the enforcement piece and adding the federal, state, and county-owned properties. Anything, Al, you wanted to touch on this?
No, you covered it, the language in the one section where it talks about duties of the local enforcing agency. It talks about what properties they're going to be looked at. And then it says other than owner-occupied 1 and 2 family dwellings, and then it adds the language federal, state, and county-owned properties. And then in the enforcement section under the fire safety fees, it looks like they are just asking, or the auditor is asking to add some language regarding if the penalty is not paid within 30 days, the same can be recovered under New Jersey's penalty enforcement law. That's a law that allows the township municipalities to go after people for unpaid penalties. So this new language would just make it clear that you have that option.
All right, council, any questions, thoughts, concerns? No, sounds like got to get in line with the state on that one.
Okay.
All right. All right, next up is the discussion on pool rentals. This was brought up, there's some issues in surrounding areas. Al, do you want me to kick that over to you?
Sure, if you want.
Yes.
Yeah, so I saw that it was on the agenda this evening, and I don't know if it's an issue you've been having in town.
No, not yet.
I was at a public meeting in Burlington County last night that went many hours because it was, they had to let people in the room piece by piece because the fire code didn't allow enough people into the room. There's an application or a website called Swimply that allows people to simply rent their swimming pool out to essentially anyone who wants to rent it out. That could be, 2 or 3 people who want to come swim at your pool, or that could be someone who's going to rent out your pool and then post social media invitations on every social media site possible, and then have it turn to be a 200-person swim party, which this one was. It kind of spilled over to the neighboring homes. People were passed out on front lawns. Streets, driveways were blocked, streets were blocked. I did see an article today about one that happened in Sicklerville as well. So it seems like this is something that's happening throughout the state. I think the website, from what I understand, came into operation last year, so it's a relatively new website. The party that we were talking about in this town, they went online during the meeting and saw that he has several other nights scheduled directly on this application or this website. So we looked into a bit there, and then I did see it on your agenda tonight. So I think it's up, obviously you guys want to discuss this. I do know that some municipalities are looking to ban the ability to rent out accessory structures or portions of your property. So it's not like you're renting out your whole property. With this site and what other sites allow you to do is just rent out your swimming pool, rent out your garage, maybe rent out your backyard for a party, things of that nature. So there's a few approaches. One approach is to do nothing. A second approach is to just ban it outright, which some municipalities are starting to do. And the third approach would be to allow it, but regulate it in some way. In other words, attach rules and restrictions to it. That can be said also for the short-term rentals, which are a little bit different, but some municipalities are also starting to look at the Airbnb, VRBO kind of short-term rental thing, kind of in the same vein, because besides the swimming pools, there have been some situations where someone will maybe rent out their house for a day or for the weekend, kind of go somewhere else, leave town, and then whoever it is that rents the property out throws a large party, and you end up in a similar situation. With respect to the short-term rentals, it's kind of the same approach. Most of the towns have nothing on the books with respect to it, but they're starting to put some ordinances in effect. And with respect to those, it's kind of the same breakdown. It's either just restrict it entirely or allow it. You have to come and get a license for it. Any rental that's 30 days or below would require some type of license. And then there's rules that go into effect. Those rules can limit the amount of occupants. Those rules can restrict visitors. Those rules could restrict parties. Those rules could require someone to be within a certain mileage radius that can manage the property. So the options are somewhat limitless with both of these things. They're both pretty new things that municipalities are now beginning to tackle, especially the swimming pool rental. So with that said, I mean, we certainly welcome your discussion, feedback, or whatever it is you guys want to do, we can effectuate through an ordinance.
All right, council, any thoughts on this? I mean, because we also have to keep in mind, do we want to totally restrict like Airbnbs or stuff like that, or regulate it? I know that with next year, the World Cup coming up, what's going on across the river with the nation's birthday and the All-Star game, there's going to be an influx, I was reading somewhere today, of probably 500,000 people or more. So they're all going to need places to stay. I don't know, what, any thoughts on, do we want to regulate it or ban it, or?
Can I,
Yeah,
sorry, I hate to jump in here.
No,
but-
go
So,
ahead.
when I saw this on the agenda, the first thing I did was I went on the website because I wanted to see, is there anyone in Delran currently doing it? Nobody in Delran currently has a pool.
Right.
So this isn't we
A
have to
pool
do-
that they're renting.
Right, like, this isn't okay, this is tomorrow, we're gonna have an issue. And I understand what you're saying with, with next year, and, but it sounds a lot like, and I would hate to put more work on our police force, but it's really more of a police issue than, I understand the large party thing, but, Jamie and I were speaking earlier, and if it's considered like a small business, like if you're fixing lawnmowers at your house, we have to have a permit. It's a lifetime permit. It's $25. I don't know if we require that for Airbnb or anything along those lines. But I think that's something that we should take a look at.
I think it melds into what we're trying to do with having people that rent places register and
Right,
that kind
and
of
that
stuff.
exact thing.
I mean, because listen, I used Airbnbs when I travel, so I'm not trying to call the kettle black, that whoa, this is horrible, because I do take advantage of it when I go other places.
Right.
But I'm assuming they're regulated or whatnot, and, I'm not throwing wild parties at somebody's.
Right, and that,
Airbnb.
and that was another, see, that was an important question that I had about this. It's not about restricting people from doing whatever they're gonna do with it's their pool, it's their backyard. But do we have, say, an ordinance, or is there something in place, and Al, maybe you can answer this, where there's, based on your space, okay? I have 0.25 acres, it's encompassed by an Olympic-sized pool. You're only allowed 30 people, 40, whatever that number might be. I don't know what that number is, because it sounds like the problem with this is people are renting these pools out and 200-300 people are showing up. They're disrupting the neighborhood. They're blocking traffic.
Yeah, I think you could get at that with the nuisance stuff that you have on the books. I mean, obviously, any kind of large party, there's probably a number of ways that the police can enforce, whether it's nuisance, whether it's noise, whether it's things of that nature. And with the pool itself, I mean, if someone is renting out the pool and charging income for it, and then also maybe charging people to come, the party goers, you might be able to get into it from a zoning aspect as well, too, because again, the pool is an accessory structure an accessory to the home. It's a residential use, but when it becomes a commercial use, it might give you some inroad there as well. which is what gives you the ability to potentially ban it too, because again, it almost becomes a zoning issue at that point.
Right, well, the reason why I was asking is,
Yeah.
what is the difference between, say, I want to repair lawnmowers in my garage?
Yep.
And I get this permit for 25, because essentially it's a business, that's what they're doing. They're renting out their pool, whether it's somebody who, I know that there's people out there that, you know, they store, what do you call that, where you throw the bag and the cornhole games and tables and things like, and they rent them out of their garage. So I understand this is a little bit of a different business because it falls into that, almost the Airbnb, or if somebody's renting, but I don't know, I'm really,
Yeah, I mean, it's, and I brought up the one, Cherry Hill had a problem because the old Muhammad Ali property, somebody bought it and turned it into an Airbnb, and all of a sudden, they were having these crazy parties in this quiet, exclusive neighborhood, and it became a nuisance, and then it ended up, you know, after the fact, having to try to regulate it or whatnot. So, I mean, listen, I don't have the answer, you know.
No.
I mean, it's, like Al said, we do nothing, we put some kind of regulations in it, or we ban it altogether. So I don't know if anybody wants to chime in.
Yeah, I would just say that I'd like to get some input from the public, you know, before we, you know, take any action on it. I just think that I understand, you know, obviously not wanting to have huge, you know, gatherings and neighborhoods, things like that. But at the same time, you know, I'll make it up. You know, if someone has a graduation pool party, right?
Right.
You know, so like, where do we, you know?
right, where do we draw the line? When do we actually start over-regulating everything?
So so I'd like to get, you know, some input from the public before we were
Perfect.
go down that road.
Hey, Jane.
Oh.
Mics are green.
No, not.
Too many were on.
Yeah, too many were on. Yeah,
Okay.
I'll turn off.
Well, my thing is, I see too many problems already. I don't see the benefits outweighing the issues we might have, but I don't know. My other thing, I would say, let the public decide. Let the town people vote on it, put in a referendum, and then we can regulate. Because sometimes it might look like a good idea until it's implemented, and then you see all these problems, and then, well, whole new can of worms. Do the residents want something like that in Delran? That's my thought.
Go ahead, you want to talk? Go ahead. I was just going to say, you know, what we're talking about here isn't about people having graduation parties and people having a cookout out there. This is somebody renting out their backyard to make a profit, and then they're not there, and all hell breaks loose. We have a hard enough time in our township controlling the home rentals. I've seen over the past year or so of these incidences where whether it's a party that somebody holds at their home or a township holds, and unruly crowds show up. Our police department can't handle that. And then they bring in other departments in. We have a shortage of officers now. I have a problem with this. If you want to have a party, private party, that's different. That's nothing. That's not this. This is something that that can get out of control real fast, like Al spoke about. I'm sure the public in that community room or wherever it was held, I'm sure most of them were against the rentals. I'm not sure how if most of the speaking was against it, but if you live next door to something like this and this goes off, you don't want to hear excuses that the township didn't pass an ordinance or something, because they're going to come after us. Because now we're responsible because we didn't do anything. We're having a discussion about it. So now we can't go back and say, oh, well, we didn't know about it. So we do have to make a decision now that we're having the discussion. And, you know, we don't have to make that decision tonight, obviously, because I think this needs some more investigation by each council member and myself before we go any further with this. But it's something that is serious. What about somebody drowns in a pool? What happens then? So, you know, people drink. We all know that. I was young once. We all party hardy. But we didn't have big big ass big ass, pool parties. Sorry about that. But we didn't have those things, right? We hung out in the backyard, and somebody had a couple beers, and everybody went home. But that's not what this is. This is people coming from all over the place. You don't know where they're coming or anything, because once it hits that social media, it's the floodgates. And matter of fact, on Netflix right now, there's a program about a girl who was holding a 16th birthday party, and it got out of control. So it's on Netflix.
We just watched it. We just,
And you see
300,000 people showed up,
It was, yeah,
Project X.
over in England, I think it was in England.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it, okay, guys? You know how I feel about protecting our neighborhoods. You know how I feel about the quality of life in our neighborhoods. So, you know, I think it's a good discussion, one that we need,
Mhm.
but that's how I feel about it.
And I'm gonna add one more piece to, go ahead, Nikki, you wanna go first?
Yeah, and I was just gonna say the other thing, shoot, I just lost my train of thought. But it has to do with safety, right? Like, there was this horrible incident I learned about, years ago where somebody was having a party, they put it on Facebook, and people showed up, and there were people with guns, and somebody got hurt. So, somebody repairing their lawnmower in a garage is, I'm repairing my lawnmower, or if I'm doing it as a business, I'm responsible. But if I have somebody else come in to repair the lawnmower and run in my garage, then that's a total different kind of business. So it's not the same thing in my mind, and I think it's a little risky. And I'll say this again: we need the township, we need residents to weigh in.
I agree. I will say this. Sometimes when we look at these things, we look at these things from maybe the bad side, okay? And one bad apple obviously ruins the bushel. You have in one neighbor who maybe has a huge party and the police are called and everything else, but I'm gonna use a personal thing for like me and my wife. We're talking about for our daughter loves glow stuff. And she wants to do a glow party. Now, we don't have a pool, but here's a service where maybe we can rent, and we're talking about 8 and 9-year-old kids. So the majority of this, I don't think that what we're talking about is this is everybody looking to throw a rave. I don't think that's what this service is. I think this service is, just like you said, my child's graduating 8th grade, we want to have a pool party. We can't afford to rent one of the big commercial pools, but somebody for a few $100 or whatever, I don't know what the fee is. They want to have it. So, and I love your idea about putting it to referendum and letting, let's hear what everybody has to say about it. And I can't wait to hear public comment on that because everybody's ears perked up the minute we brought this subject up. So I don't want to penalize the mass people who are looking to do something good for that one or two that may be getting out of hand. I just want to keep that in mind when we're thinking about it.
I think it's probably more than one or two. I think if people want to do a rental for a pool or whatever they want to rent a house out for entertainment, do they have insurance? What kind of insurance do they have? God forbid, like as Tom suggested, God forbid something happens, somebody gets hurt or worse, who's responsible for that? Normally, when you do a event at a rental place, you fill out a contract and you have an application as to what's going to happen there, and they have the restrictions listed. This is open space. People start doing this, it's not going to be one weekend. They're going to be doing it. In fact, Al mentioned earlier that the people they looked into in that situation he mentioned, they had one scheduled every weekend. That's disrespectful to the neighbors, to the neighborhood, the parking, the safety, the noise, the light. We have enough residents in town who I talk to who complain because their neighbors have lights that shine into their yard and brighten up at night, and they go till 3 or 4 in the morning. He called 911, and the operator asked him to please go inside the house or turn his music down. He said, "I'm in the house." That's how loud it was. So I just see this really getting out of control. There's no reason to have to rent a pool. If they want to rent one, they can rent it commercially, or if they have a friend, they can do that. But we've had too many instances around this state and around the country where young people are out of control, and they look as an opportunity to create chaos. I do not think it's a good idea to, I think we should restrict it totally.
All right, I think we need to do some more discussions, like
take a look at, what we should do from even a standpoint, if somebody wants to use their home as an Airbnb, do they have to register like a rental and, provide insurance and whatnot? And do you put limits if you have obviously a 4-bedroom house, you can't rent to more than 10 people. I'm just making numbers up, stuff like that. So I think it does warrant more discussion, whether we're going to regulate it, prohibit it, or go, let the chips fall where they may. I think that's what we need to take a look at this point, Like I said, I use the Airbnb thing, but it's just myself or another couple going on vacation. We're there for a week.
Right.
It's a company, we sign a contract, we have rules, we have to, leave it clean, stuff like that. Then again, I'm 64 and not throwing rage parties anymore, So I think it's a good discussion, and we should discuss it. If you want to chime in a little bit more, go ahead.
Yeah, no, just one more thing. Can we do a survey of the town residents?
Sure, well, we can put it out there
Put
somewhere.
a survey.
I'm not the social media person. Where are we at with the social
We're,
media
we're,
guy?
we're very close to that, and
Okay.
that's something, I love your idea about putting a survey out there and seeing, and let's find out how people, how the people out there, feel about it. But isn't it interesting how something as simple as, we're talking about a pool, guys, and there's that much discussion, and then sometimes it just amazes me.
All right, let's move on to the discussion of the bid threshold, and I'm gonna kick that over to our administrator, please.
Thank you. So last week I received an email from our QPA, or qualified purchasing agent, that the state treasurer has increased the minimum bid threshold. And when the state increases the minimum bid threshold, it allows the towns in New Jersey that have a QPA to also increase the bid threshold. The new threshold would take it from 44,000 to 53 for the bids, and from 66 to 7,950 for quotes. We don't have to do it. We can remain where we are at the 44 and 66, or we can go up. We can go somewhere in between or up to the maximum. When we did this a few years ago, we went up to the state maximum, but if we wanted to do this, a resolution is needed. So I just put it on the agenda to see.
Yeah, it would give us more flexibility, and whether the intent is to raise these, keeping with inflation or something.
yeah.
I'm assuming that's probably why it's going up, and they do it periodically, correct?
Yeah, I want to say it's either 5 or 10 years that they do this,
Right.
that go up.
Yeah, I mean, from the standpoint of flexibility, I think it's a good idea to move it to there. Anybody else wanted to chime in on that?
I would agree with that. I think with the price of everything changing, the bids are gonna be higher, and opportunities are gonna be there to take advantage of the purchases we can make under the threshold. So I think we should, raise it up to the appropriate amount. Yeah, I think going to the state level makes sense.
Anybody else?
Ditto.
Ditto? Yep, all right.
Okay, so we'll put that resolution on for the August public meeting.
Correct. That'd be awesome.
Okay.
All right, moving on, we have our consent agenda, resolution. I thought you were gonna do that in your report.
Well, no, this is part of the discussion. I thought we were gonna discuss this.
The engineer
And
conversation?
I wanted to,
Sure.
that's
go
all
ahead.
right.
Yeah.
Sorry. I
No,
didn't-
no, 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 no. You said earlier you were gonna make.
No,
it
no,
part
no,
of
the
your
other,
report.
yeah, I'm gonna report the other, what we talked about at the end.
All right,
So that's part of my report. This is just part of the engineering discussion
okay.
that, so everybody got I just gave you kind of a brief outline as to what I was thinking. And so what I'm considering, and I would like for everyone here to consider, is for 2026, we currently have a township engineer. One engineer. Now that engineer does everything within the town. What I'm proposing or looking to do is in 2026, opening this up to having 4 appointed engineering positions. And if you'll see by the document that I gave you guys,
the suggestions that we had come up with was a township engineer that does our roads and our streets, a sewer engineer, a parks and recreation engineer, and I will give Al the credit for the fourth one, which would be an environmental engineer. What's critical about that and important to me is that with having these 4 designations, and it does not, let me clarify, because we have 4 designations, does not mean we're going to have 4 individual engineers. We could have 2 in, one doing these 2, one doing these 2, however it breaks down, that gives us the best possible service at the best price. So it gives us an opportunity to maybe negotiate a little bit. Now we have a couple of engineers in here. I wanted to give Al credit for the 4th section was the environmental, because I think it's a big issue in the town, and I think it's something that having that separate section, we're letting everybody know that that's important to us. We're talking about down by the waterfront, that we're creating a special engineering slot just for that section. But I brought this to you guys tonight because I would really love to hear your feedback.
Well, I think this is the first time
This is the first
we're
time you're
seeing
seeing
it.
it.
So, yeah, so there, nobody's had a chance to really go over this.
Right.
So I don't know if anybody's in a position to comment
Somebody down
on
there's
this.
got a question.
So if somebody wants to jump in, but me personally, I want to go through this a little bit more. I mean, I know
Absolutely.
you and I have talked about this,
Right.
so I know
Right,
exactly
but
what you're
yeah, this is the
talking
first time
about.
I put it on paper for
You're-
you, so you guys
yes.
can kind of see the idea.
Yes, and it's not like we're closed-minded to it, but I think, I mean, I know me personally, I want to go through it and look at it in more depth, even though you and I have
Well,
talked
no,
about it. And
listen.
you know, I don't want 4 separate engineers.
Right, and that's kind of what I wanted to clarify, because it
I think we're
doesn't
gonna
say-
spend more money doing that, you know, so, but you know, I'll let anybody wants to chime in, or you wanna just wait till you read this and we'll have further discussions.
I'm ready for questions. Tom looks like he
No,
wants
I
to.
don't really, it's not a question, actually. Jamie, I know you sent it out in PDF, all the proposals.
That was for special projects.
Special projects, yeah, I'm sorry, for special, I'd like to get a hard copies of that if I could.
Sure.
Because I have, reading that stuff, I like to have the physical part of that. And as far as this goes, I mean, yeah, I mean, I'll read through it, I'll go through it, and then, obviously, you know, when we get to, the end of the year, then obviously, you know, when we send things out or whatever, but, yeah, I mean, it's first I've seen it, so yeah, I mean, I like, you know, I'll go through it, I'll read it. I understand what you're saying, so, and we'll go from there.
Okay, thank you. That's okay.
He asked the question I was gonna ask, is it gonna be effective for the town? I mean, I'm always looking at, you know, if we're doing it, if we're gonna have the engineers, you know, is it gonna cost us more? You know, he was just saying that, so we'll take a look at it. I think it's a good idea.
Thank you.
You know, and, like you said, we're read it. I don't wanna say yes or no and then come back and
No,
say,
we're not
no,
looking for
Nikki's doing flip-flop, let me look at it. But I always think it's a good idea to have experts for certain areas so things are done better, you know, and then again, is it gonna be cost effective? Is it gonna cost us more if we do it this way, or is it gonna be the same thing, something like that? Those are thoughts that are going through my head.
Okay, thank you. No, realistically, I just wanted you guys to have this in your hands and just ask if you had any questions now, so that if there's anything that going forward I can find out for you or answer for you. I've been studying this for months, so I have a slight advantage. But that's okay.
Has there been any breakdown, for example, roads and streets? Do we have definition of what that will encompass? Because, like, I think you even mentioned, there may be a lot of overlap and confusion
Right, which
between
is,
engineers, and, you know, that could be an issue.
yeah, no, it's a great question. So when we talk about the roads and the streets and the sewer and the overlap, initially, like I said, we may have the same engineer doing both. But you may also end up with, like, our sewer, like, let's say worst case scenario, there was 4 engineers. I can't imagine that that is something that would happen. But if that were the case, you still have the township engineer who is overseeing, so if you could imagine, you have your township engineer overseeing everything. And they're working with, so these are support networks, but they're specialized support networks, and they're focused on doing those things.
So would the other so it'd be 5 engineers potentially if we went with all 4. Would the township engineer then be responsible and be in charge of monitoring and controlling the others?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I've looked around at a lot of towns, and once towns start to get big enough, one of the things they do is they do, just like the county, they have their own engineering department. They literally do that, and they have specialists in every area. Delran has grown to a point where we're now close to, 19,057 people, I think is what we looked at. We're doing a ton more projects. Having somebody that's focused on, because of our infrastructure issues, we all know what's going on. So having that specialized service in those areas, I think is going to be key to changing the future and getting the kind of services that we're looking for in the town.
Question.
Yes,
So this is coming from you?
that is from me. I typed it up for you today.
No, the reason I'm asking you didn't put your name on it, that's why.
No, why would I do that? You know, what's funny was I typed it up on my phone, and then I did the copy and paste for the email. So this is why we need a communications and tech person, because I'm not that person. So I just copy and paste and send it over and ask him to print it for me. And yeah, my name didn't enter. I must not have slid all the way down with the little arrow and the blue highlighter.
No, it's okay, so at least I know where it's coming from.
Yes, no, it is coming from me.
And Mr. Mayor, really quick question. I know you mentioned like a lot of the projects and the road work. With traffic, like, do you have an idea like where that might fall? Would be under like the township engineer?
Well,
or would that-
traffic would fall under the township
Okay.
engineer. And what I like about this, and the reason why we're putting this we're not looking at this until 2026, okay? It gives us time. I've grown very comfortable with the fact that with this group, I think that we work very well together. So having your input on this and you guys finally seeing what my vision is, I think is going to take this from good to great. And that's why we're kind of doing it this way, why I wanted to bring it up in a work session, so we can talk about it. Are you going to have all the answers now? No. You're going to have 100 questions after this. But this gets us started, and it gives us time to do this.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Let's move on to the consent agenda. Resolution 2025-125, authorizing electric tax sale. Electronic tax sale. Resolution 2025-126, authorizing grass cutting for 418 Main Street and authorizing the payment of bills, including all purchase under the cooperative purchasing agreement. Anybody have any questions on the consent agenda? Can I get a motion?
Motion. I'll second.
Roll call.
Mr. Morrow?
Aye.
Mrs. Apiadu?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Jenny?
Aye.
Mr. Lyon?
Aye. All right, let's move next to public comment. Can I get a motion to go into public comment?
I make a motion.
Get a
Second. Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. If you wish to make public comment, please raise your hand. You'll be recognized. Step forward to the podium, state your name and address for the record. You'll be allotted 5 minutes of time for public comment. All comments will be part of the record, can't be redacted or changed. And we'll open it up for public comment. Yes, sir.
Spitch, William J., 518 Brown Street, Delran, New Jersey. This is directed to the council, starting from my left and continuing on to my right. Mr. Morrow, what is your knowledge of New Jersey Statute Title 54 as it applies to this resolution?
Which resolution is that?
What resolution is that? It's the resolution that is the 2025-125, authorizing electronic tax sale. What is your knowledge?
That is, if I'm not mistaken, being able to sell our excessive equipment, things of that nature, through the websites and so forth, for quicker sales. Am I correct, Amy, on that?
No, this is
Yeah.
for, delinquent.
Oh, delinquent?
Yeah, so
Okay,
this
but
is our
what-
annual tax sale that
Oh,
now,
okay, but
we
now we
used to
can
have
do
it
it.
in person, now
Now
it's
on
all
the
done.
website. Okay, I got that. All right, that's
Yeah.
what you go.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Abadu? What is your knowledge of this resolution authorizing electronic tax sale under New Jersey statute annotated 54-5, 19-1? What is your knowledge of it? Have you read, in fact, that section and that resolution? Do you know what that means? Madam? Yes. Yes, what? No, what is your knowledge of that? Do you know how this applies? What this applies to,
Didn't you just say the tax sale?
madam?
She said the tax sale? Tax sale, electronic tax sale?
Is that what it applies to?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Smith, what is your knowledge?
Yeah, this is the item that we're reviewing tonight to,
Say that again, sir.
this is part of the consent agenda, and we're reviewing this tonight to see if the council's in agreement with going to the electronic tax sales.
And how does it apply to the tax bill? How do we go about using this electronic service?
So I know in previous years, when we would have it in person, folks would come to the municipal building. There would be tax liens that would be up for bid, and then members of the public could bid on those. Now we're going to an electronic method for that.
Very well, sir. Mr. Jenny?
That's exactly what it is. It's to make it more efficient.
Make what more efficient?
The tax sale process.
And how do we do that? How does that come about?
It comes out when people don't pay their taxes.
No. How do you use that service? By what, in what manner?
Instead of just being in person, or you can do it electronically, it'll be advertised and held electronically also online, which makes it more efficient.
Very well, sir.
That attracts more lead buyers as well.
Mr. Lyon?
I'm sorry, Mr. Fitz, can I just say something real fast? The state just passed where public notices where tax sales go into the newspapers is now going to be taken out. They are no longer going to be required municipality-wise to put public notices in the newspapers. Part of your tax sales are always in those newspapers. Going electronically now allows people to do that online. If you want to know what tax sales are, you come right in the municipal building, and if I'm not correct, they give you that information. So this is something I think going forward that the public notices will no longer be in the newspapers, if I'm not correct.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Lyon?
I'll reserve any comment I have for my report. Thank you.
Very well, sir.
Council
Thank you.
President?
That's all I have.
Excuse me.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question for you. What is it? What is the electronic tax sale about? What is it about? Do you know what it is?
I have no idea. That's why I'm asking you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Nancy Evans. I always have to stand on my toes for this.
It's actually for the recording, so just use your outside voice. You're
Okay.
good.
Nancy Evans, 307 Arch, and I just want to give a couple of my opinions on what you guys were talking about today. As far as the pool rental stuff goes, I really think it just should be banned completely. We have a small
Can you,
town.
hang on one second, could we stop the side conversation, please? Excuse me.
Jen.
Yeah, we can't give conversation. Thank you. Go ahead. I'm sorry, ma'am.
Okay. I think we should just stop, ban it altogether. Thank you so much. Several years ago, I had neighbors that lived 2 houses down from me right on my block, and they used to have tons of people coming over to their house to use their swimming pool, and they were drinking, laughing, loud music, fighting, arguing, all kinds of stuff going on till 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning. And this happened from Friday night through Sunday night, okay? And it was all summer, late spring, all summer long. Everybody on the block was really upset about it. Several times the police were called. Those people are gone now. They weren't renting, but the issue is that we had people coming into our street, our neighborhood. They didn't know who we were. This is maybe their first time around in our area, so now they're getting to sort of canvass our streets and see what's available or what could be available to them, as far as committing crimes or whatever. And me being retired law enforcement, to me just seems like the most unsafe and irresponsible thing to do for our town. I don't think that anybody or most people in the township would really want to go for this, and I'm just letting you guys know, I really don't think it's a good idea. The other thing would be about the engineers. I like what you were saying about having, like, maybe you have like a head honcho engineer, then you got other people working in different areas under him or her or it, so that more things can be looked at, more things can be taken care of, and more things can be done in a timely fashion without having severe issues occur before we take care of anything and everything. So just my opinions, and thank you for listening.
All right, thank you very much. We appreciate it. And I'll just make a quick comment on the pool thing. Many moons ago, when I wasn't 64 years old and I was in my 20s and 30s, I did have a big backyard with a pool. And, we did have some occasional parties, but I always made sure I invited the neighbors. And I also told them that if we were getting too loud, please just come and let us know. But none of our parties ever got out of control. But yeah, we need to talk about the pool rental thing more so than somebody just having a party. All right, anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Patricia Griffith, Brown Street, Delran. First, I want to say thank you for considering putting it out to the public, getting their public comment for this whole pool thing, because I appreciate that you want to get everybody's opinion, because there's a lot of different ways to look at it. Like what Nancy was talking about, that was a private party, so if you pass an ordinance, that doesn't even affect that. You do have your nuisance ordinances already in place that would take care of a lot of it. My issue is, like, is it legal for the council to say what people can do in a private house? I realize you were talking about, like, going to the edge of a business, but if I just rent one room out of my house, or is that going to be regulated too? I just think it takes us down a rabbit hole that could be, it could be putting the council at a risk, saying like, all right, now you're trying to control what I can do on my private property. I think that's another consideration on the other side of, you don't want to have wild parties and people renting out their homes to have, a bunch of either teenagers or early 20s going crazy. I think the bigger problem is they weren't raised how to appreciate other people's property and other people's areas. I mean, that's like a whole nother subject. But I think you're getting to a fine line where if you're going to start dictating things, I'd be really careful. I mean, if people are renting out parts of their home, they have insurance and they're taking on the liability. But if we start getting involved in dictating what they can and can't do, it might be a problem in terms of now, does council becoming liable because you're getting into people's personal property? So it's just a consideration. But I really thank you again for asking for the public input, and I think a survey or something would be a great idea. And the multiple engineers, I think, is another great idea, because you get more value with more opinions, and maybe someone else will come up with an idea because they have time to specialize in a specific project or a specific area, as opposed to just trying to cover everything in the town. And there's a lot going on, so I think that's a great idea too. All right, that's it.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else, please? All right, seeing no other hands, can I get a motion to come out of public, please?
I make a motion?
Got a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we're out of public. All right, next up, we're going to do reports. And I'll start with emergency services. I don't see anyone but our fine officer. Do you have anything to report on, sir? You good? Next up, boards and committees. Anybody?
Actually, can you go first? Because there's public comment. Sorry. Debbie Hammond for the Green Team. I just wanted to say we are planning to plant more things. I'm going to say things, shrubs, trees, flowers, at our Arboretum, which is behind the jug handle, on Friday at 6. If anybody wants to come out and help dig some holes, water some plants, it would be great. That's it.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Sam Hutchins with the RAC. So this actually isn't an update or a report. Actually, I wanted to just talk about, I don't even know if I'm allowed to. You guys talked about increasing the bid threshold. We at the RAC like that idea, just because a lot of the things that we have to do through the party planning, for lack of better words, cost in those numbers. And we got 3, 4, 5 quotes for everything because I like to be super cheap. But anyway, we like that idea. So yay from the RAC. That was it.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, we're going to move on to our Administrator Extraordinaire, Jamie Eggers.
Thank you. Just a couple items. Stewart Avenue, the contractor is going to begin their punch work items starting next week. On Leon Avenue, I know the contractor's been out there doing some preliminary work, test pits and other items. And then the underground work is going to start on or around August 11th. I just wanted to let you know that there is a collection box. I don't know if anyone's seen it in the parking lot for new or used books, where residents can recycle them, and the books will be distributed to local, I was told, senior centers, nursing homes, hospitals, those kind of items. The Army Corps, we have no report tonight, but we have a meeting Monday, so I'll have a report at the next meeting. And then we received an email that the Veteran Foundation of America, along with Senator Troy Singleton, is hosting an event on Tuesday, August 26th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. It's a Veterans Health Fair and Luncheon at Bordentown Armory. There will be clinical assessments, biometric screenings, and lunch will be provided courtesy of Red, White, and Q Smokehouse. That's all I have.
Very good. Thank you so much. Next up, Mayor Barnes Hutchins.
I get to be quick this week. I only have one thing to report. So, myself and council have received a lot of RFPs for a special projects engineer. You guys everybody had received that. I just want to report that with the advice and the consent of council, at our next township meeting, I will be appointing a special projects engineer for the remainder of 2025 for Delran. That's my report.
Thank you. Next up, Al Marmera, Solicitor.
Nothing additional, Mr. President.
Very good, thank you. And next up, our engineer, Ed Diarmento.
Thank you, Mr. President. Turn that on. All right, first, the wastewater treatment plant project, they have completed the cleaning of the tank, and they will be having a site meeting next week to continue with the remainder of the work. They were less than anticipated in terms of duration for that. Continuing on sewer projects, Creek Road will be starting next week. The contractor's looking to start Monday. They have put the signs out for the on or about. The road on Creek Road, the road from Bridgeboro to Borton Landing will be closed to through traffic. And there'll be notices handed out by the contractor for the impacted residents. And there will be police officers, 2 from Township and then 1 from Morristown for Borton Landing on site to start at all times while work is underway. And then a couple projects to be out the bid update. The 25 road program, Vermees, Stewart Phase 2, and then the emergency sewer bid are all anticipated to be advertised by the end of next week to have bids received next month. Some in anticipation to be able to award at the next workshop meeting, and the others to be awarded after the bonds go through in September. Any questions?
Nope. Thank
Thanks.
you very much. Ed? All right, we'll move on to council members, and we'll start all the way down to my right, Councilman Morrow.
Thank you, Council President. One thing we were talking about, the mayor and I and Councilman Jennings before the meeting tonight was the e-bike situation that we're experiencing, not just in Delran, but throughout the state. So I'm not going to get too heavy into that tonight because I got a lot of stuff I already started. We'll talk about it because I think at the maybe the next work session. Okay, okay, very good. Jamie, on Stewart Avenue, there's the old abandoned church on there. Who owns that? Do we know? That has been dilapidated. It's been there for years. It's falling apart. Residents, I've heard the raccoons running. What's the status there? Either they tear it down or fix it up or something, but it's just sitting there. It's falling apart. What's the story there?
I don't know who the owner, it's privately owned, but I don't know who the owner is off the top of my head, but I can get that information to you. And
Yeah.
if there's any property maintenance issues, we can definitely get Matt or Ted.
It's just an abandoned
address
building.
them.
It's an
Yeah.
abandoned church. It's
Yeah.
either they do something or we have, I don't know what municipalities have on, I know churches have certain tax rights and so forth. I don't know what we can do, but something's got to get done there because, all this work that's getting done on that street, there is some bad properties there, some real bad properties. But that one has just been sitting there since God knows when and just sitting there. I would really like to start to look into getting something done with that. On Fairview Street, when you come off of Hartford Road, I think I talked to the mayor about this last week. When you come off of Hartford Road on the Fairview Street into the shopping center, and you get to the first traffic light before you get to Route 130, there's no signage, no striping on the street until you get almost up by the lights where it's telling you 2 left turns, 1 center turn, and 1 right turn. The signage is all the way up by the Chick-fil-A, and then there's another signage that's the same sign as the one by Chick-fil-A, and that's probably 20 feet up from it. I think, are we responsible for Fairview Street through the, okay. So what I'm saying is, I think we need to get some more arrow striping and some more signage, so.
I think we need to bring the line, we talked about this, because
Yeah.
That road was swapped with the county.
Sorry,
a
we
few
swapped
years
that
ago.
with Chester.
we're talking
sorry.
about the road that goes through, basically, when you're coming out of
It's going-
Lowe's and
yeah, right off
ShopRite.
Hartford Road.
That went to the county, so I'm sorry,
that's-
the county took, when the
They can
county
reach
took
out to the county.
Hartford, they took
Can-
Fairview
okay.
Boulevard.
So that's
Yeah.
the county
But
issue.
I think we
Ed's
did
Ed's
the
gonna-
intersection part,
right, but
right?
Ed's gonna reach out to the county for us tomorrow.
Okay,
And
cool.
let's see if we can do that, because I drive there all the time, and I'm the same way, I'm like,
Yeah.
where am I supposed to be?
Yeah.
And then it's the last second.
Jamie, to answer your question, the township did do a widening
Mhm.
for an additional left-hand turn lane
Right.
queue a few years ago, and then they swapped the Chester Avenue and the road with the county. So,
Yeah, we just need to bring the lines back a little further so that you're not reacting at the last second to try and figure out where you're supposed to be.
It's really, like you say, it's a problem there.
Yep.
Jamie, I know, when I was on council before, we used to get a monthly police report. We don't get them anymore? Can we get them?
But I can ask
No, we
for
used to
them.
get them, and it was a
Okay, I'll
breakdown
have to
of what their performance was through the
incidents,
month.
okay.
Arrest, that was, we got it
Yeah,
every
I'll
month.
talk to the chief tomorrow.
Yeah, okay, please, I'd like to see that. Also, if you could ask the chief to put the machine, or the speed, detector that tells you how fast you're, I know it's been on Brown Street, I don't know how many we have, 1 or 2, but if we can get one on Fairview Street for a while, that would be appreciative. The
Fairview Street.
speeding is unreal
In
going
what
down
area?
Fairview, pretty much
Pick a spot.
pretty much when you're coming off the Crown, off of Route 130 down,
Okay.
that's where most of the
Okay.
speeding seems to be really picking up. And I know we talked about going to work sessions 2 a month. We discussed that going into September. So I'd like to obviously stay on top of that. And also, I had just mentioned about Bowman and Associates coming in. So maybe on one of those work sessions, we can actually have them here. We don't have a lot on a work session, so they can give a little information to the residents here on how those bonds work, because I know a lot of residents have questions about them, and I think would be good to give them some really good answers. Delran Night Out is coming up August 5th. All the info's on the township website. I know that the rec committee has put a ton of time and effort into this. I think it's going to be, I've never been to one, I'll admit that, I've never been to a Delran night out, but I will be there at this one. I want a front row seat, so you better have one for me and my
You
wife.
got it. And-
But,
Sorry, the Delran Sun did a really nice article about the event this week.
okay, good, because I don't even get that anymore. But I want to say great job to all the rec committee. I know you put a lot of time and effort into this, and it's definitely going to show. And also, last Friday, the council and mayor were invited to the gyro spot that just opened at the Millside Shopping Center. And I can tell you folks, check it out, support the local restaurants. We have a large Turkish community in our township, a lot of business owners up and down Route 130, and I can tell you they make some bang-ass food. So get over there, enjoy it, and they were really, really nice people, and I think we all say we walked out of here with full stomachs, and it was really sharp. So patronize our local businesses. Not over the top.
Ask, Mr. Lyon will talk about the
Yeah.
spiciness of
I'll
the
let,
pepper
yeah, I'll
in
let
his
the council
report.
president tell you about that. And that's all I have tonight. Thank you, Tom.
All right. Councilwoman Apiadu, please.
All right, so, let me see. Just want to echo on that church on Stewart. It's been on my mind, and I'm happy, Councilman Morrow brought it up. Can we get somebody to find out what's going on? Instead of waiting?
Yeah, we can try to contact the owner and, see what they
Okay.
have to say.
Yeah, it is horrible looking. Yeah. So the second thing I have is, we're gonna have more town halls. I wish everybody could attend the next one. This last one we had, I heard, from some that attended that it was actually well worth it. So we're gonna schedule more town halls, and we wanna have them virtually so that, people could be home and get to talk to their elected officials. This time, I want to set it up with our county commissioners. So I'm going to be working on that, and I'll put the information out there as soon as I get a date. Next thing is, I need everybody, please mark your calendars. Our second annual Senior Expo is coming up on September 15th. I believe we decided it's going to be every third Monday of September. So, mark your calendars, that's coming up soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Nikki. Appreciate it. Next up, Councilman Morrow. I'm sorry, Smith.
So, you say my first name? or-
I butchered that too.
Marlo Smith, that's fine, that's good. I know you met. Just a few quick items, everyone. As Councilwoman Apiadu mentioned, the town hall we had with Senator Singleton, Assemblywoman Carol Murphy, and Balbir Singh. I think that was very well attended and got a lot of good information out there. Hope seniors take advantage of the tax incentive that's out there for them to be able to freeze their property taxes. So a lot of other good information was shared as well. Secondly, I want to mention also, as Councilman Morrow mentioned, the grand opening for I think they call it gyro in the correct pronunciation for Turkey. So I'll say it that way. The gyro spot, which is right near Target in that same shopping center there. The food was very good. It was not spicy. If you didn't like, there's sauces and things you can put on it. That could be a little spicy, but I stayed away from that. But it was very good, and I would definitely go back again. Also, looking forward to Delran Night Out on Tuesday, August 5th. I know there's a lot of work that's been done by the REC, and just want to be able to get a chance to come out and celebrate with the whole town as we, celebrate our night out. And lastly, as Councilman Morrow mentioned, the e-bikes. Even on my way here tonight, there was a young person that was riding a bike. I'm doing the speed limit. They came up behind me, passed me, and we're kind of riding out, kind of all over the road. So just be careful as you're driving around town. They didn't have bikes like that. I had to put pedal power when I was growing up. So I can only imagine if I could go up to like 35, 40 miles an hour on a bike, what I would have done it, a young age. But that being said, just be careful as you're driving around town. I'm be on the lookout for those folks. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you. Next up, Vice President Jenny.
Thank you, Council President. I'm not going to repeat everything that was already said, but I agree with a lot of the comments that were made, definitely. I would like to also mention, though, the virtual town meeting. Thank Councilwoman Piadu for spearheading that. It was well attended and a lot of good questions and answers. So it's probably should do that one again. July 30, we had a meeting this morning, a virtual meeting. The mayor, Ms. Eggers, and myself regarding the climate assessment that is being done, that a lot of residents were involved in, and then the township leadership was involved in another session to get the township's perspective on what the needs and risks are. And they will be on July 30th. There'll be a virtual meeting. We'll advertise it, and everyone will know more. And they're going to come up with possible suggestions and recommendations and what they found through their research. So that should help us. It's relevant because of the flooding issues we've had, not only in the Riverside Park area, but over Swedes Run area. It's all over the state of New Jersey. If you do the reading I've done on this, there's hardly any town that has any water in it that hasn't suffered from stormwater damage and flooding. I want to thank Calvary Church for participating in the cleanup on this past Saturday. They actually approached the chairperson of the Green Team, Deb Hammond, saying, listen, well, we're going to have a day of service. We'd like to find out if we can do something with you. And we were to clean up all the county parks, or the township parks rather, and we found that there was very little trash in the township parks. Thank you very much to all our residents. However, below the 130 bridge, there was a bit more trash. About 40 bags of trash were collected. Calvary Church brought in about 30 people, families, young people, older people. It was a great turnout. It only took us about an hour to clean up a tremendous mess out there. And so I want to thank them. Also want to thank Michael Cooney from Castaway Cannabis. He was out there as well and was working in cleanup with everybody and offered him and his workers to come and help us on future cleanups and future things in the township that they can participate in. The home rental on the pool thing, the other thing that I didn't mention on that was different than inviting people over for a party. These are on social media, and they're also on flyers all over the place. They put flyers out. Our police department had to put a stop to a party that was being advertised all over the place in Delran, and they put a stop to it. So just a comment there. Other than that, that is all I have tonight, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Jenny. In my report, I would like to thank, Jamie was on vacation last week, and we had a lot of people step up and fill big shoes while she was gone, doing that webinar for the first time. Melissa and Kim Bogie, and they did a great job, but everybody from the whole building really stepped up in Jamie's absence, so we appreciate all our employees. The engineering issue, while we'll all take a look at that, one of the things, CME is one of the largest, most respected engineers in all of South Jersey and the state of New Jersey, and they do have all the experts that we need, but we will certainly take a look at what you're putting out here, and also we need to loop in our department heads and whatnot to get their opinion on all that. Now, go into the hero spot. And you can stay away from spicy if you'd like to stay away from spicy. I happen to like spicy, and I had a couple of their spicy items, and they were really good. I would say if you're not into spicy or you like a little bit of spice, do not eat the jalapeno. I ate a piece of jalapeno this big, and my whole face went on fire. And I like spicy. That thing was hot. But the food, and right next door is the Butcher and Grill, who they're kind of, I think they're same coordination. And that's also a really good place to go in, whether you want to get items to take home to cook or have them cook it. Both of those spots are really good because I've been in the butcher and grill and took stuff home to cook, and it's really good. And they were super, super nice people, from the staff in the kitchen to the people working the floor or whatnot. It was a really good time, and we all had a good time. And once again, thank you to all our boards and committees and our volunteers. I've been to plenty of the Delran Night Out. It's always a good time. It seems like the kids have a blast, and hopefully, I'm no doubt it'll be that again this year. So with that, that's the end of my report. And right now, we're going to get a motion to go into executive session for Resolution 2025-127, authorizing executive session to discuss the following contract discussions of the DPA. Can I get a motion, please?
I make a motion.
Got a
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. There will be no action taken after executive session, but you're more than welcome to hang out. me know when you're ready. All right, we're back out of executive session. Can I get a motion to come out of executive, please?
Motion?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Once again, there will be no action taken from our executive session. Can I get a motion for adjournment?
Motion?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.